Attendance averages sit below 3,000 fans per game in the late 1940s, so early NBA owners scrambled to find stability. The league begins as the 1949 merger of the Basketball Association of America and the National Basketball League, instantly creating teams that either thrive in big cities or vanish quickly in small markets. Because the league expands faster than fans arrive, franchises collapse, relocate, or rebrand within just a few seasons. 17 original BAA and NBL teams enter the new NBA. By 1950, 6 shut down immediately. The Chicago Stags, a promising franchise that even courted George Mikan before he became basketball's first megastar, fold when attendance drops and the city cannot support 2 pro teams. The St. Louis Bombers also disappear the same year after losing money despite having local support from regional colleges. Meanwhile, the Denver Nuggets, no relation to today's Nuggets, exit before finishing their first merged season, showing that a frontier market simply runs too thin on fans and revenue. The Anderson Packers from Indiana, champions of the NBL just 2 years earlier, also vanish after 1950. They draw fewer than 2,000 spectators per game, and owner Ike Duffy decides his trucking company earns steadier profits than professional basketball. Similarly, the Sheboygan Redskins, another small-market NBL staple, join the NBA for 1 year but depart because travel costs make their Wisconsin base unsustainable. Finally, the Waterloo Hawks of Iowa, the smallest NBA city ever, last only a single season, confirming that tiny Midwestern towns cannot compete financially with New York or Boston. By 1951, contraction continues. The Washington Capitals, once coached by future Celtics legend Red Auerbach, lead the league in pace and feature standout rookie Earl Lloyd, the NBA's first black player. But the team collapses just a few games into the season, crushed by financial losses and poor attendance in the capital city. At this point the NBA shrinks to only about 10 teams, a survival tactic rather than a sign of growth. The Indianapolis Olympians fold in 1953. Known for fielding several University of Kentucky stars fresh off NCAA titles, they failed to overcome a devastating college point-shaving scandal involving some of their key players. Fan trust evaporates, profits plummet, and the franchise leaves after just 4 seasons. In effect, the league retreats from Indianapolis until the Pacers of the ABA era decades later. Relocation then becomes the league's safety valve. The Milwaukee Hawks moved to St. Louis in 1955, later winning a championship with Bob Pettit in 1958. The Fort Wayne Pistons, originally a factory town team owned by a firearms manufacturer, shift to Detroit in 1957 to tap a much larger market. The Rochester Royals migrate to Cincinnati in 1957 as well, proving that survival often means chasing bigger urban bases. While these teams technically live on as today's Pistons, Kings, and Hawks, their small city identities die in the process. By the early 1960s, attendance stabilizes slightly thanks to stars. Wilt Chamberlain averages over 50 points per game in 1962, while Bill Russell anchors Boston's defense. The league grows stronger, which means outright team deaths become less common, but relocations continue to erase old identities. The Syracuse Nationals transform into the Philadelphia 76ers in 1963. The Philadelphia Warriors head west to become the San Francisco Warriors in 1962, starting the NBA's westward expansion. Meanwhile, the Minneapolis Lakers, once dominant behind George Mikan's 23.8 points per game, cannot draw crowds after his retirement, so they move to Los Angeles in 1960, turning into modern basketball's glamour franchise. During the mid-1960s, the NBA avoids outright collapse, yet some franchises still vanish through mergers. The Chicago Packers, later renamed the Zephyrs, enter in 1961 but fail to establish traction, averaging fewer than 3,000 fans per game. Within 2 years, they relocate and eventually become the Washington Bullets. Similarly, the Chicago Bulls, created in 1966, finally secure the city as a lasting NBA market, but earlier Chicago teams like the Stags and Zephyrs demonstrate how fragile that foothold originally was. By the 1970s, survival largely depends on mergers again. The NBA faces competition from the high-scoring American Basketball Association. Teams like the Kentucky Colonels and Spirits of St. Louis never joined the NBA despite strong followings. Instead, only 4 ABA franchises merge in 1976, the Nuggets, Pacers, Nets, and Spurs. Therefore several once powerful ABA teams technically die when denied entry, even though their legacies live on in basketball folklore. When looking back, the key takeaway is scale. Franchises vanish when they draw fewer than 3,000 fans, depend on local factories or high school-sized gyms, or lack star players to sell tickets. Once television deals expand in the 1960s and 1970s, and once players like Russell Chamberlain, and later Kareem Abdul-Jabbar can headline national broadcasts, the league stops watching teams disappear entirely. But the ghosts remain. The Sheboygan Redskins prove that passion alone cannot overcome tiny market size. The Washington Capitals show that even large cities can fail without careful management. And the Indianapolis Olympians reveal how scandals destroy early franchises as much as finances do. Today, the NBA thrives with 30 teams, billion-dollar valuations, and sold-out arenas. Yet every game played in Los Angeles, Philadelphia, or Detroit rests on the struggles of Sheboygan, Anderson, and Waterloo. Each defunct team is a reminder that professional basketball once teetered on collapse. Surviving only because the league contracted ruthlessly, relocated aggressively, and leaned on extraordinary players to keep the lights on. If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be posting a lot here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.